Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be putting on a play, but not just any play, we're going to be putting on plays from Shakespeare. Today we're going to be sort of gathering and hiring actors. We're going to have to pay them at the end of the game. We're also trying to make their costumes look awesome and flashy, and that'll bring in more people. We're trying to make the set look beautiful and gorgeous and be very symmetrical so it has that nice, evenly look to it. So this is a Euro game from 1 to 4 players and plays from 20 up to 90 minutes. So let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In Shakespeare, you're trying to put together the best cast, the best play over the 6 days. We're going to have 2 dress rehearsals on days 4 and 6, and you're trying to move up in the first act, second act, and third act to be getting points, and we're going to be hiring actors throughout the game. Everyone will start with a player board, which is identical to all players. They'll take the color of their choice, some rest tokens, and through a drafting process, through some randomization and such, they'll also add another actor in addition to the ones that come on everyone's boards that are identical. There's 6 phases to each one of these days. First phase is wagering. What you're going to do is each player has 5 discs of their color. They're going to secretly, blind bidding, try to decide how many actions they're willing to take this turn. The person with the least amount of actions bid is going to be able to be first in turn order. So everyone would go like this, they would reveal, and they'd see how many actions they're going to use this turn. The one with the least amount is going to go in first place and they actually get a point. Now points are very hard to get by here. Let's say orange did go with the least amount of actions, they would get up a point there and orange would be first. These all get cleared. I'll talk about initiative track later. And depending on who had the next least and the next least, and that's turn order. Now, if these people were tied with 4 or 5 discs, that's when it would use this initiative track, which was set up from the previous round. So if orange and green, for instance, were tied, if they both had 4 discs for the least amount, orange would go first because they're first on initiative, then green, and then red maybe did all 5 acts. So that's the wagering. Least amount of actions gets to go first. Now the second phase is recruitment and activation. Now once per day, everyone will end up recruiting one of these actors. It doesn't have to be done first, it can be done on any one of your turns, but you've got to do at least one. And how you recruit an actor is essentially, you'll look at one of these guys, you'll figure out which one you want, and you'll take your color card like this that has a question mark, and you'll just replace them. This just shows that you've recruited this guy, and it doesn't cost you one of your action discs, but you go there. Now, each of these actors have a cost, and this is $3. Now, you don't have to pay this now, but at the end of the game, you have to pay all the actors that you hired, and if you can't, you'll lose 2 points for each one you can't support. Now, some of these actors have an ability in which, when you activate, will activate a special ability of that character. More to that in just a moment. Now, because orange went first, green would go again, would go next, then red, then orange, green, red, 1 action until you're out of all your action discs and you've recruited somebody. Also, when recruiting somebody, if you're afraid you're not going to be able to hire or pay for this guy towards the end, maybe towards the end of the game, every character looks the same on the back side. Essentially, this is an extra. He won't cost you any money, but he doesn't give you any special abilities. He does, however, help you move up in some of the acts that I'll get to in just a moment. So after each person takes one, it gets back to you. You can activate one of your actors with one of these discs. Now remember, I bid that I would use 4 discs this round, and so I'll just show you some of these different actions that you can do. For example, this gentleman here, when I activate him, this tells me I go up twice on this ambiance track, and this will have me go up here. If this ends here at the end of the game, end of this round, I'll be able to move up one of the acts of my choice because that's sort of a feather. And you can see each of the feathers. We got red, yellow, and blue. Those are the 3 different acts. If it's a white feather, you can move up in any one of those tracks moving to the right. If I activated Shakespeare, again, you're only doing one of these on a turn, but I'm just going to show you them all now. If I did here, this guy allows me, Shakespeare does allow me to move up either 2 on the same track or 1 on any different track. So for instance, I could just move 2 on that one track because it was Shakespeare, or I could go 1 and 1. Now, if you're on a track and somebody else moves next to you, on top of you, whoever's on the bottom got there first, they're thought to have been in the lead. Now the queen here, if you activate her, she'll either get you either $4 or an objective card. If you decide on the objective cards, you would draw 3 from the objective pile and you'd select one of them. For example, this one, if you have these 3 characters at the end of the game, you'll get a point. If you have all these hired, you'll get 2 points. This one is if you have 2 extras, you'll get a point. If you have 3 extras, you'll get 2 points. This one is if you're first in any one of these 3 acts, you'll get a point for each one of those. So you'd select one of those and keep it secret for the end of the game, bonus. Now some of the people are craftsmen. They have this little icon here, and this means they help you. This guy is a handyman. He actually helps you get either costumes or sets. Some of them specialize in costumes, some of them specialize in sets. He can do either. Also, this guy here is an assistant. Anytime I use one of my craftsmen with that logo, he gives me +1. So instead of having a 4 of either the costume or the set, I can grab up to 5. Now what that means is over here we have 2. These get filled up at the beginning of every round, and the number of items that get filled in each one depend on the amount of players. In this case, it's a 3-player game, and so there's 12 1s, 12 2s, all the way down to 6 worth 5 and things like that. So it tells you how many of each of them there are to look at. So here there's 9 that come out with 3 players, and here are the different point values. So these are different things of costumes, and the point values are here. You can never take the gold ones unless there's a special card that tells you can do so. I'll tell you about that later. But I have same with the sets. I cannot grab a set it's essentially dressing up the set. You can't grab the gold ones of these either. That's why these numbers are red. Now, so here we have costumes in this. Now, my guy can grab up to a total of 5. So maybe what he does is I could take a 3 and a 2. I could take a 1, and a 3. So let's do that. Let's take the 3, 4, 5. I took a total of 5. Now, I immediately placed the costume icons to any of the open 3 squares on any of my actors that have those, and this will get placed as well. Now some of these have sort of special abilities. I'll talk about those in just a minute. But when you place these things, you have to keep a symmetry in mind. For example, I've placed a purple here. Because purple's on the end, when I place one on the end here, it also has to be purple in symmetry. Just like if I place a pink here, I would have to place a pink here because it's second from the end, second from the end. You can build them in any order. You can't build on top until you have 2 here, so now I could actually build one here because there's 2 below. But here you can build them in any order you want, and since this one doesn't have any symmetry rules because it's right in the middle, you could literally build that with anything like that. Of course, you need to have the amount of set collection that I just showed you in order to do that, but in this case, I just built one. And of course, anytime you build up to the point where you cover one of these candles, you get a point. And as you notice, candles are points on the point track. Now, at any time, if you finish one of the costumes of one of your actors, you add up all the numbers here. I have 5, 6, a total of 7. We look at this. If I have a total of 6 to 7, I'd get 2 coins. 8 to 10, a coin and a point. 11 to 12, 2 points. And 13 to 15, I'd get 3 points. So anytime you finish, you immediately get a bonus. And also, there's some bonuses for the sets. Now, let's talk a little bit about those. The 1s give you no bonus because they're just cheap. The 2s, every time you place one of those, you get a coin. The 3s, at the end of the round, for every purple that's still out and hasn't been grabbed, everyone moves 1 towards the bad ambience like that. We'll show you that in just a moment at the end of the round. Blue allows you to move as soon as you place it. You go up 2 towards the white mask on the ambience track. This is a 3. This essentially gives you a +3 to any craftsman. So instead of using this for a 4, I could use it as a +3, which is a total of 7, but it's a one-time use and I'd get rid of it. And the golds are wild for any color, and I'll talk to you how you get those in just a moment. Speaking of those golds, there is a jeweler for an actor that you hire. You have to pay him 3 at the end, but anytime you activate him, you can take either a set or a single costume that's gold. So in this case, let's just say I grab the gold set, and gold is wild. So I actually could put it here. This would normally have to be purple because of the symmetry rules, but here I could just have that as gold. These are important because at the end of the game, every gold piece of set or every gold piece of costume is an additional point. And as you can see, many of the other actors have different things, like his ability allows you to move up 1 on the red act track and 1 on the yellow. This one gives you 8 points towards grabbing pieces of costume. This one allows you to grab 2 points of costume and go up on the red track. I think that's Juliet there. They're all named. This gentleman lets you go up 1 on any of the tracks, and so on and so forth. They also have abilities that will trigger during the dress rehearsals if their costume's finished. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Now, at the end of each round, after everyone's taken all their actions or decide to pass, and everyone's done, essentially we look at the set. And if there's any purple sets left, For every one that's left, everyone moves down one on the ambience track. So let's say there's one purple left. Now if I was here, I would move down and I would just get a coin. But if I was just here and I had to move down, I would have to lose one spot on any of the acts. And in this case, you have to move down on one that you've already moved up on. So one of these two guys, I would have to move back to the starting spot. If you're here, you lose a point. If you're all the way up here, you gain a point. Now, if this was round 1, we would skip to the maintenance phase. But if you're in round 4 or round 6, let's just say, you would do a dress rehearsal at this point. What this would mean is, in turn order, each person would get to move or activate their dress rehearsal ability. Because this guy, Shakespeare, has his costume completed, he can move up 1 on the red track. And as you can see, different actors have different things. He would move me up on the yellow track, and so on and so forth. So I would have been able to move up 1 on the red track there. Now what are these tracks? So after everyone has moved all these guys, and as you can see, different actors, this guy would move you up the blue track 1, the red track 1, this one would get you 2 coins. And also keep in mind that these extras, they don't cost anything, but if you fill them up with costumes, during the dress rehearsal days, you'll also get to move up any one act of your choice. So after everyone's done that in turn order and activated all their people that have their costumes fixed, you score the tracks, and they get scored quite different. All the 3 tracks, if you haven't made it past the 3rd, you'll notice a melted candle. Everyone loses a point. So if this is how this was the dress rehearsal, we would lose 1, 2, 3 points. It'd be really bad. But you're trying to move up. So if you've made it at least this far, you'd get a coin. This far, 3 coins. This coin, this 5 coins. Here, the person who's all the way the furthest would get 2 points. Second furthest is 1 point. And here, anybody that makes it to this spot gets 1, this spot 2, this spot 3. Next, we'd do some maintenance. We would get rid of all the cards that weren't taken. We'd put some out. There's always the number of players plus 2 for new actors. We would swipe anything not taken. We would fill them up with these bags, of course. And we would just kind of sort of do some maintenance there to set up for the next round. And we'd obviously move this forward to the next day. The last phase is the rest phase. This is pretty interesting because what you've done is for each actor that you've activated, only one of them is going to have enough energy to go again the next day. Everyone else you'll have to put a rest token in. So at this point, you decide which one of these 4 characters am I going to allow to play the next round. Ooh, it's a tough choice a lot of times, but the ones, and actually since the new sets and new costumes come out before this, you can plan for that. So let's say, okay, this guy's going to rest, this guy's going to rest, this guy's going to rest, and I'll leave Shakespeare available to use next round. But now these guys I cannot use next round. And that's pretty much how they play the game. After the 6th round, at the end, essentially, you would score any objective cards that you may have gotten from the queen. You subtract 2 points for every actor that you could not basically pay for. You get 1 point for any yellow element that you got from the jeweler. And if there's a tie, the money is a tiebreaker. But essentially, that's how you play Shakespeare. So there's Shakespeare. Now let me first tell you what I liked about the game. The artwork in this is amazing. The characters have so much detail to them. They look very differently. The colors are great. The iconography on all the cards are very good. The boards lay it out nice. Component-wise, you know, this is Yastari Games, who makes great games, and through Asmodee in the US always make sure things are perfect. So component-wise, quality-wise, artwork-wise, this game's awesome. This game has a lot of choices to make, and I like that about this. There's so many different ways you can go. Gosh, do you go up, you know, there's the 3 different acts that you can focus on. You want to focus on the one with money, because you need to, maybe you're hiring all the actors every round, you're going to need a lot of money. Maybe you're trying to just be just ahead of the next person to get the 2 points. Or maybe you're just trying to go all the way down and get the 2 or 3 points on that blue track. Do you want to focus on maybe getting the jeweler and grabbing all the gold sets and costumes that come out and get a definitive actual point every time? Which actor are you gonna, leave for the next day? Which ones have to rest? Are you gonna hire an extra because you might not have a lot of money? There's a lot of good, tough choices. In fact, this game, every single turn you have and every decision you have to make is paramount and is super important. So overall, I can see that this is a very well designed game. I could say that the artwork's good, and it's not a dry Euro game. This is typically the type of Euro that I would like. And in the end, I can see that this is a very well-designed game, and I think a lot of people that like very tight Euros are gonna go gaga over this game, and they're gonna love it. In fact, many people I played this with did really love this game. I had a couple problems with the game personally, and you might share some of these. This is why I want to share them to you, because in the end, I'm just a guy in the room with a camera. What do you care what I think? You want to know what you're going to think, so let me help you try to break this down. The things I didn't like about the game is a few things. First of all, the point scoring is so small. Like a great score is in the 20s, right? So you're not going to be scoring a lot of points in the game. What that means is, well, the good part of that is it's always going to be a super close game, right? The flip side to that is points are really hard to come by, which means every decision matters, which means you can be playing a 90-minute game, and because of one decision you made wrong, that's going to lose you the game. It's very unforgiving in that factor. And if you like that, and you feed off that, and you want to be completely focused the entire game, and if you make a mistake, tough, that could ruin it for you, then you're going to love this. If that steers you away, understand that this game kind of has that. The other thing I didn't like personally about it was those 3 tracks. If you don't move up past the 3rd circle in each of those tracks, you're losing a point. So if you just focus on one thing, like let's just say you focus on the blue track and then maybe the jeweler or something else, you focus on 2 things really well. Well, for the 2 dress rehearsals, on the other 2 tracks, you're losing a point. That's 4 points you would lose if you completely disregard the other 2 tracks. That's like a quarter of a good score at the end of the game. That's a lot. So for me, it felt like, yes, there's a million different things you can do and there's a lot of different areas, but I feel like you're forced to go down at least somewhat evenly some of the paths. In a game that's this tight, I didn't like that. I would have liked the more freedom to really go pursue what I wanted because it's so tight. I'll go for something that nobody else is going for and it will give me a chance, but I'm forced to kind of do these other things that everyone else is doing as well. That part I did not like about this. So if you like tight Euros where you're gonna have to like have that sort of Agricola feeling where, oh, you didn't do this, bang, you're getting smacked. Oh, you didn't do this, bang, you're getting smacked. This has that. So if you like that sort of thing where you have to be balanced but yet still be very focused on a couple of things, you're gonna love this game, and it's super tight and it's really great. If those things bother you like they bother me, this might be a year you'll want to stay away from. So those are things I liked about it, those are things I didn't like about it. Hopefully you can decide from those which way this feels with you, and that's Shakespeare.